0 o'clock. The stone courtyard is a black page, and you stand in the center, a lone figure outlined by torchlight. Wind moves through the lattice of rafters. Somewhere distant, wood meets wood in a measured rhythm. There is no music. There is only the sound of practice that has outlived its teachers. They told outsiders it was a farmer's tool. It's an easy story to sell. Practical, rustic, harmless. You remember the line as if it were whispered at a market stall. But inside the temple, you learned the other line, the one that doesn't travel well outside stone walls, that the nunchaku is a weapon of interruption. Not to overpower, but to end movement itself. Tonight, the lesson isn't about skill, it's about control. 045. The weapon's reputation is a simple geometry. 2 sticks, 1 chain, short, lightweight, unadorned. You twist it in your hands, and the simplicity is almost charming until you watch it in motion. The danger is mathematical. The fewer parts, the fewer places to hide a mistake. In slow motion, you follow the rotation. Wrists turning, forearms guiding, a hinge of intent where the chain wants to swing free. There are no flashy spins for show, no acrobatic tosses. Everything you do is deliberate. Tight grips, smooth transitions. The nunchaku doesn't look like much, and that is exactly what makes people underestimate it. Unlike a sword or spear that demands a decisive edge, the nunchaku's damage is soft but precise. Its timing, leverage, and the failure of a single beat. A misread step, a delayed breath, and bone meets wood in a way that speaks of errors rather than anger. That is why most students never touch it. The temple keeps it behind lacquered racks for the same reason a library locks its rarest books. Some truths need careful handling. It reveals character. It exposes impulse. Too fast, and you fling the very thing meant to help you. Too slow, and you wreck your stance trying to correct the lag. Close up, knuckles tighten around worn wood, veins standing like cords. The chain stretches taut and sings a thin note that might be danger or might be instruction. Wood approaches skin, a breath's distance, and you feel the lesson in your own body, the subtle jerk of correction, the micro-adjustments that are practice made physical. Here they say the nunchaku teaches truth, not metaphorical truth, literal. Under pressure, your habits become visible. You will see exactly who you are. Afraid, brash, patient, or cold. One misstep, a chain snapping tight, and the truth is not polite. It bites, it stings, it rearranges your posture. 3:30. Every generation, one student is chosen for the test. Not the strongest, not the fastest. They pick the stillest. That choice is never loud. It's a small, quiet thing, a certain way of breathing, a way the eyes don't follow motion, a steadiness in the feet like a rooted tree. You can be a storm of skill and never be chosen. Stillness is rarer than talent. The chosen monk stands barefoot on cold stone. You can hear his breath against the silence. Hands are open, palms up, weapon resting across them like a sleeping thing. The test is simple and merciless. Defend without advancing, strike without anger. It is a paradox wrapped in a practice drill. To truly interrupt motion requires you to not join it, to be the constant in a world of variables. The first attacker moves. Not a rush, not a shout, a step, a feint, a shoulder shearing toward the center. You see the world narrow into a single line of intention. Wood collides with air, and instead of following the momentum, the nunchaku is an answer that arrives exactly when it's needed. Timing, again, wins where force would have failed. 5 o'clock. The philosophy of interruption sits at the heart of the temple, and it is deceptively gentle. The nunchaku does not seek victory in the sense of domination. It seeks to stop motion. You don't knock someone down to prove you can. You cut their action short so the momentum has nowhere to go. You watch demonstrations, a wrist checked so an arm cannot complete its arc, an elbow redirected just a degree, and the attack collapses like a bridge losing a single support, footwork broken by a feint that asks where the center of gravity goes when confidence is removed. Every strike is intended to end motion, not to end life. That subtlety changes the moral geometry. A weapon that humbles force rather than hurting the person who wields it carries a kind of humility that makes others uneasy. It reduces violent intent to embarrassment, and force abhors humiliation. The attacker stumbles, balance lost, silence returns, but it isn't quiet for long. It resonates. You can almost hear the way the body's systems recalibrate after being denied the expected outcome. There is a lesson in that recalibration. Your opponent learns that force alone won't carry you through. And you, the wielder, learn you can be the interruption without becoming the storm. 6:30. Mistake enters quietly, like a cough in a crowded room. Discipline fades when confidence grows. You feel it in the shoulders, a loosened habit, half a smile, the way the wrists start to rely on past proficiency rather than present attention. The monk begins to spin faster. The chain hums with a tone that wasn't there before, a small radio frequency that announces haste. This is when the weapon tests its wielder. The nunchaku does not forgive the arrogance of routine. A brief loss of balance, an almost slip in the stance, sends the wood whispering along skin. It's controlled but close, the kind of contact that leaves a memory. One breath too late, and something meant to interrupt another's action turns inward, from external tutor to internal critic. The courtyard holds its breath. You can feel the lesson folding back on itself. What you use to measure others becomes the mirror that measures you. The blade of practice is an unforgiving mirror when you forget humility. 8 o'clock. The final exchange is not a crescendo so much as a settling. There is no celebration at the end of training, only acknowledgment. The final opponent steps forward, neat and unobtrusive, like a clock making its last small motion. No flourish, no theatrical warning. The test has been run in micro, and now it will be allowed to run in total. 3 movements define the closing. Deflection, interruption, stop. The deflection is an invitation to the body to correct without overcorrection. The interruption is the core, the clean, surgical ending to motion. The stop is the hush that follows. In execution, these 3 have the rhythm of breath. Inhale, counter, still. The nunchaku meets the moment between thought and action and freezes it. The nunchaku stops inches from the opponent's chest, and for a suspended second, there is a contract signed between 2 bodies. You don't seek to break me, and I don't seek to break you. The strike was never meant to land. It is an assertion of boundary more than violence. The opponent bows, a small and solemn acknowledgment. The monk does not bow. He refuses the vanity of victory. Discipline and humility are both present in that decision. 9:30. The weapon is returned to the rack, an object cooled by ritual, not mastered, not conquered, only respected. You don't walk away thinking you have owned the lesson. You leave knowing it will return, patient as any master. There is no fuzzy wrap-up, no tidy moral with confetti. The torchlight fades. The courtyard inhales and exhales into the night. Tomorrow, it will test someone else. Reflection hangs in the air. Control is not the same as suppression. Ending motion is not erasing will. The nunchaku's lesson is one of interruption, a technical term that becomes ethical under the right hands. It asks the wielder to be still in the face of motion, to be present when pressure counts, to be precise when compassion would be clumsy. Those are not small asks. You leave with the habitual quiet that follows a meaningful practice. The story you tell outsiders will still say farmer's tool because it is a simpler truth for a simple world. But inside, where feet press cold stone and wind listens, there is a different lineage. There, the nunchaku is a teacher that speaks in the language of interruption and demands the humility to learn it. So if you ever find yourself holding one or any tool that promises power, remember, it will show you who you are when the rhythm breaks. Respect it. Do not fetishize it. Learn to end motion without becoming motionless in yourself. The courtyard will be there tomorrow, the rack will be there, and someone else will take the lesson. You, if you are wise, will still be practicing the single stubborn art of being still.